So PivotDesk is actually a pretty interesting story. It's my fourth startup, first of all, and so I've been in the startup world for quite a while. When I started PivotDesk, and I had also been mentoring for a lot of startups, so I was part of the TechStars network as a mentor since it started, and just helping a lot of other people around Boulder and New York that I knew, and I've probably been involved with either as a mentor, a friend, or an advisor to somewhere over 100, 150 startups over the past 10 years. And I just kept seeing the same stupid pain point over and over again. Like, you get a couple of really smart, energetic people trying to build something that could potentially change the world, and they should be completely focused on building that business. It's really freaking hard to do a startup, and if you want to do it right, you have to be completely focused on doing that. And I saw these great people trying to build these businesses, and while they should be completely focused on growing that business, they ended up spending 25, 30% of their time just trying to figure out where to put it. And it was just so stupid, and I saw it so many times. They'd email friends, and they'd check Craigslist, and they'd talk, hey, can we crash for a couple of months? Because, you know, they don't know how big they're gonna be 3 months from now, let alone 3 years from now, which is usually the smallest lease you can get. And it wasn't until I was actually doing some consulting to a larger company who had shared their office with another big company, and I was sitting next to the CFO at the time, and he was miserable. And he was, every day he was looking at that space trying to figure out what to do, and he was talking to his landlord, but his landlord could care less, right? Because his landlord was still getting paid. And he talked to brokers, and brokers would always say they'd help, but they really wouldn't, because it wasn't what they really did. It was a different process for them. The transaction cost was small, the effort involved was high, so they really weren't giving him a lot of attention. And at least once a week, the CEO would walk into his office and say, what's going on with that space, right? And he was literally miserable. And since I was working with a bunch of startups at the time, I said, Larry, you know, I can put 5 or 6 companies in there tomorrow. So they're not going to be able to sign a sublease or long-term anything because they don't know how big they're going to be 3 months from now, but they'll gladly pay you every month for the space. They just need a good place to work. And, you know, he looked at me and he said, God, I would love to do that. I'd love to help these companies, but there's just no way I can deal with all the bullshit involved. I can't run around chasing checks. I can't be worried about credit risk. I can't be worried about who's supposed to be here, who's not supposed to be here, who's leaving stuff in the refrigerator on a Friday. Like, that's not my job. And as he was talking to me, I realized I could build all that. That's not brain surgery, right? And I all of a sudden realized if I could make the CFO happy, if I could build all the tools that he needed to make it dead simple to easily market, manage, and monetize his excess space, I could find homes for all these startups and small companies that had no place to go in a way that made both sides happy, right? So that's really where PivotDesk started. And it took a pretty long time to get going because, you know, of course, I'm not a real estate person, so the first thing I did was go out and talk to real estate people around how this could work, and literally every one of them said, you can't do that, because it's not what they do. Luckily, I didn't believe them, and I kept pounding away and doing my research and figured out that I actually can do it, and launched it about 1.5 years ago, and now we're in 6 cities, and we've got hundreds of companies and customers, and people write us every month saying, you have no idea how much you helped us, this is incredible. So that's why we do what we do. We're trying to help entrepreneurs build their business, and we do that by finding the room to grow, and every day we're just helping companies get started and get going, and you know, it's a great feeling. I mean, I realized pretty early on that, you know, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and if I can find a way to help really smart people do awesome things, then that's a great business, and that's really what we do with PivotDesk.